Hey everyone, this is Meredy here, and I'm coming to you from our unfinished house. We decided to take a little break on our construction and make some masks, and we're making them first for our family and loved ones, and then the girls and I will be making more for the hospitals and whatnot. But this video is not going to be about what particular mask we're making or any type of pattern or how to make masks. But I've been doing a lot of research and realized that there are a lot of things that specific people in the medical field are wanting in their masks. And this is for like if you're donating to the hospitals and whatnot, but it also makes good use for personal use as well. And so, just because there are so many masks out there and so many tutorials and so many different ways to make them but there are some things that are kind of across the board, general guidelines that you can use with whatever pattern you happen to be using. So the first is, why are we making these homemade masks? No, they're not going to stop the virus completely. They're actually more protecting other people from you, even though you may not be sick or you may not know if you're a carrier or not. If you're out in public, which the CDC is now recommending that everyone wear masks, because if you're out there and you're walking along and you sneeze or cough, your mask that you have on is going to block the droplets that come out of your mouth, which also means that it blocked the last person who sneezed when they were using your shopping cart. And so that's kind of the thought of the homemade masks and why they're recommending everyone to wear them when they're out and about, is because it does stop the transmission out of your mouth, at least somewhat. It's not going to stop everything, but it does stop some, and some is better than none. So that's why we're making masks. That's why the CDC wants us to wear masks. And that's why it's a good idea to wear masks right now while you're out and about. So the next thing is what type of fabric do you use? So it seems like the most recommended fabric is cotton, either 100% cotton or a blend. But the cotton fabrics are durable and they're washable and they're sturdy and they're good fabric to use. Also, you can get them in fairly thick fabric, like a quilter's type of cotton. I just have a couple of examples here of what we mean by thick fabric. So I'm going to turn this a little bit so that you can see the window. Now, if I hold this fabric up, this is actually a cotton poly blend. If I hold this up, you can see pretty much straight through it. It's kind of a sheer fabric. It's very lightweight and you can pretty much see through it. This other one is 100% cotton. And if I hold it up with that window in the background, you can see that it is a lot thicker and that it does not let as much light through. This would be the better fabric to use because it is going to stop more transmission through it. It's gonna catch more germs and whatnot. So you want a tight weave cotton or cotton blend fabric. And then the next thing, it doesn't matter what fabric you choose, what you happen to have on hand, whatever, pre-wash it. Please pre-wash your fabrics. If you do not pre-wash them, especially if they're made out of cotton, the first time they get sent through a hot sanitizing wash, they are going to shrink. And if you have one of these and your fabric shrinks up, it may shrink all wonky. It may just become completely unusable. So please pre-wash your fabrics before you make your masks. The second thing, the third thing is that the medical personnel, if you're donating to a hospital, are asking that you make the masks out of two different materials for the inside and the outside. It makes it obvious which side goes toward the face, because if they have to take them off for any reason and put them back on, you want to put the side, and this goes for anybody, you want to put the side that you were wearing against your face back against your face. You don't want the side that has all of the germs on it at least the germs that aren't your germs. You don't want to put that up against your face. That kind of defeats the purpose, right? So you want to put it on the same way you took it off. So having the two different colors and making it fairly obvious which is the inside and the outside works for that. You can see on this one, I did not do that. However, I did sew in a metal nose piece here, and I'll talk about that in a second. So that makes it obvious which side goes toward the face. So the nose piece, this is actually just a piece of doubled over pipe cleaner, just craft pipe cleaner from my kids' craft closet. And I sewed the little pocket there. You can see that. And I put the pipe cleaner in, and that helps it to mold over the nose. And a lot of nurses and doctors are saying that that is what they would like to see. And so you can do it just like I did there on this one. It's just an extra piece of fabric that is sewn on to one side, and then I just before I stitched this part shut, I just put the pipe cleaner in. So you can do that on any pattern, even this pattern here. You can see I did that there as well. This one, I actually put the pipe cleaner in before I stitched up the sides and all of that. So that is not an extra piece of fabric on the outside. It actually is slipped up in there and then sewn around the pipe cleaner to hold it in place. You can also make them removable by just leaving one side. If you make it like one of these, just leave one side slightly open, and then it can be pulled in and out. In fact, that one is. I didn't even stitch on that side right there. So if I needed to, I could work that pipe cleaner back out of there and replace it if I needed to. So they are asking for that. So the next one is fit. So these ones are not as good. These are like your typical one that everybody's making, and they don't have the best fit for keeping all of the unfiltered air out of your face and out of your breathing way. So when you fit a mask, and obviously if you're donating these to the hospital, you can't go around fitting everybody. But if you make several different kinds or sizes, then they're going to be able to pick the one that fits them best. So on masks, you want to make sure that it fits close to the nose, over the bridge of the nose, and is touching the cheek here, that it doesn't pooch out here. This one does a little bit. I actually had to modify it a little bit because it pooched out even more. But up here against the cheek, you want it to lay flat against the cheek, and then it should be touching up against your chin. This one is touching right here, but not necessarily anywhere else. So this one is not the best fit on me because it is loose. In fact, when I breathe, I can actually feel the air coming in and out right here and right here. You can see it even still gets pulled down. This one is a much better fit, but it is not as universal, because if you're bigger or smaller than me, it probably wouldn't fit you well. But you can see it does fit very well right through here. I don't feel like it's going to fall off my nose. And the sides, again, this particular pattern I got off of one of our local hospitals' websites, and they were saying like this is the one that they prefer. And I actually had to modify it because it really it pooched out like that on both sides. So I actually had to put in an extra little thing there. Because you want it snug against the cheeks, you want it snug under the chin and across the nose. And then this is another one. Again, if I were to put the ties on, this one fits really well. This one fits the best. But I also can't breathe through it because I put an extra layer of material in there, and it makes it really hard to breathe through. It also makes it, since the air can't go through, it fogs up my glasses. So this probably isn't the best one because I can't breathe through it, so I'm not going to end up wearing it. And also it fogs up my glasses, so I don't want to wear it, right? So I'm going to remake this one and see if I can fix that. It has 3 layers of fabric instead of the 2. And the one on the inside is a really thick flannel. So it just, it's very inconvenient. I mean, if you want like probably the best mask as far as stopping any like as many germs as possible, this one probably is the best. But again, what you can do is look at this, and it seems kind of silly, but if you make your mask or you hold up your fabric or whatever, and you look through it, I can't see anything. There is no light transmission coming through that. This one is not quite as good, but it's still pretty dark in there. I can see some. This one, I come to find out after making it, the material is actually very thin, and I can see my windows through that thing. Which means this actually is not a very good mask if you really want to stop as much transmission as possible. So although it is the most comfortable because, it's really thin, it's easy to breathe because, the air is passing right through the fabric. But so those are the things to look for, whether you're using elastic ties or ties that actually, here, and I'll show you how this one fits. So this one, you can see there's a loop down at the bottom. You put it over your head like this. The mask is upside down. Then you grab the ties that are threaded through. You put it on, and then you tie it up at the top. I really like this. And from what I've heard, the hospitals really like this, this style as well. It doesn't hurt the ears because people are getting really tired of the ears. It doesn't hurt the ears. It's easy to put on and off, and it stays nice and secure. But whether you're using elastic or not, doesn't really matter. Like I said, what style of mask you're using, doesn't matter. If you do decide to go with ties, you want them to be something that's either not stretchy or just slightly stretchy. If it's too stretchy, then it's just too hard so you wouldn't want to use elastic as the ties. It's just too hard to tie it. I made this band from just that other material, and you can see there actually is a little bit of stretch to that. I just cut it across the grain, and then you can actually find tutorials on how to make this. It's called bias tape, but I did not cut it on the bias. I just cut it literally straight across. I did not cut it on the bias. And that there is a little bit of stretch, and that's about 1/2 inch wide. I think that would make a really good tie. No less than 22 inches. And the thicker it is like this, probably more like 25 inches per side. So this is 44 inches long. So I would actually cut this in half and use it as 2 ties on the edges of the mask. Because if you have it any shorter than that, then doesn't have enough tails to tie. Any patterns can be altered to put pockets on for filters. So like with this one, I just would not put the lining fabric in this fold. I would have actually treated it ahead of time, and I would have put a little hem in here, then folded the purple over and put my tie in, but then there would have been a little pocket that a filter could go in. These ones I've seen where there is a opening here at the bottom or at the top that that the filters can go in. And then same with these ones, again, at the side, treating it to where the sides open, and then you can slip the filter in. And any of them, and I've seen them to where there's like on these pleated ones, there's an opening here that they can slip the filter in, or there's a bajillion. Any of them can be altered. So that's it. Those are kind of all of the tips I have and that I've learned from doing all of this, and from all of the research I've done. And so I hope that was helpful. Just a real quick summary again of the tips. So first of all, cotton seems to be doing the best, but if all you have is a cotton poly blend, that works too. Flannel's really good. It can be a nice thick fabric, but it can also, as I learned in this, it can make it a little bit too thick to breathe. So just watch that. But make sure you pre-wash your fabrics. They do want to see the inside and the outside different colors, because then it's easier to remember which side goes against the face if you have to take it off and then put it back on. Ties versus elastic doesn't really matter. It's your preference. The elastic, it is getting tight around their ears. They're getting tired of wearing it. So the ties might be better. I know, I've seen several physicians get on and nurses and say that they actually prefer the ties. So you can make ties out of whatever you can find. Oh, and then, you can even do the elastic, but do it instead of the ear loops, you do the elastic from one side to the other at the top and the bottom, so that it goes around the neck and around the head rather than around the ears. So that is an option if you didn't want to make ties, because they are kind of annoying. Then that is a way to use elastic. It does use more elastic, but elastic is getting harder to find. But if you have a huge stash of it and you want to use it that way, then I'm sure the physicians and nurses and all the medical people would appreciate that. So there is that. And then, I've also heard of people using hair ties as the ear things. Just realize that the normal size hair ties are going to be very small. You can see they barely fit over my ear. And if that was attached into fabric, it would be harder to do. It would have to stretch more. I mean, if you look at the size difference there. So the regular size, if you're going to use the hair bands, you're going to have to alter your pattern, or find the bigger hair bands. This is what's known as for thick hair or whatever. You can see the size difference on that. So that is more akin to the size of the elastic ear bands that they're calling for. So those would be great just as is, but, that's just a little tip. If you do hear other people saying, you can just use hair bands, just realize if they're the regular size hair bands, you're going to have to alter the pattern in order to make it still fit around the ears comfortably for the majority of people. Make sure that fit is tight around the nose and the cheeks and underneath the chin, and realize that any pattern can be altered to put filters inside, to make a pocket for filters. So I think that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this has been useful to people, and I hope that you all are staying healthy and that you are comfortable during this time, and that you are finding a way to give back to your community during these troubled times. Thank you.